Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So today I am bringing you another book to movie vlog. I think that's what we're calling it, and also my horror classic catch up. This book has been on my radar, my anticipated reads for a really long time. I had to wait in order to find this somewhere. It's very difficult to find, at least the edition that I wanted. It was really difficult for me to get my hands on this. So I finally was able to find it on World of Books, which is a secondhand like online store where you can buy books that are pre-loved. And so thankfully I was able to score the copy that I wanted of the Hellbound Heart, and I really adore this edition. So I had to get it, and yeah, it was much cheaper than I was anticipating, which is quite nice. And yeah, I am going to be starting this book. And this video actually is going to be slightly different from the other two in this series, where I've actually watched the movie first. So with Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist, I'll leave them linked below if you do want to go and watch those videos as well. But I had never read the books nor seen the entirety of the movies. So this is where the Hellbound Heart is different. I really love Hellraiser. It's one of my favorites. And yeah, I mean, I loved it once I watched that original movie from the 80s. I just knew that I had to read its counterpart, its original source. So that's where the Hellbound Heart comes in. I've heard many great things about this. I've also heard that it's very different from the movies. So I'm excited to see the difference. And this time I'll be able to have a different perspective rather than reading the books first and then watching the movies. I've already watched the movie for this, so I'm going to be going into this slightly different. And so we'll see if I enjoy it. So yeah, it's a really short little book. So I'm hoping to get through this relatively quickly. But I'm so excited. I've been wanting to read this for such a long time now, and I'm so glad I'm finally getting around to reading this. So yeah, I've got the audiobook as well, so I will be listening and following along whilst I read it. I mean, without further ado, I guess let's get into it. So it's a couple of hours later now, and I have finished the Hellbound Heart. This was so quick to get through. I love this book. I wasn't sure that I would enjoy this as much as I have. I knew I would like it because I love the movie, but this was just incredible. It's so visceral and so, like, I don't know what to do. I want to read this again. It's a really short novella. It was 128 pages, and it was packed full of content. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to do my review for the book and the movie together because I have already watched the movie, so I can tell the differences already. So to start with, the sun is bright again. So to begin with, the book was so descriptive. It was so visceral in describing the Cenobites, what Frank is going through, how he looks, and it was gross at times, which was incredible. I really love how descriptive this was. I hope that Clive Barker has more books like this where they're really descriptive, because that's something that I thoroughly enjoy in reading books. So I was jumping for joy when I was reading this. So there's that. It's very descriptive. The writing isn't too difficult to get through. The audiobook definitely helps, but if I was reading this without the audio, I would feel fine with reading this. I love the descriptions and the development of the story. This followed like a well-paced plot, and yeah, I mean, there was nothing wrong with this. Yeah, this is probably the best book that I've read for this series so far. So I think before it was Rosemary's Baby that I enjoyed the most, but this is definitely much higher than Rosemary's Baby at this point. I love this so much. There is differences between the book and the movie Hellraiser. So I do know that when people have told me there is differences, that they weren't wrong. There are differences, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. So people were saying it's very different. There's things that happen that doesn't translate into the movie, or vice versa. But both the screenplay and the book were written by Clive Barker, so I was expecting a lot of it to be the same. And the overall plot is the same. So we follow Frank as he discovers this puzzle box and then summons these demons, the Cenobites, for seeking pleasure. And yeah, so it continues from there. It's like that in the book, it's like that in the movie. The overall plot doesn't change. So yeah, the only thing that was different is the descriptions. So the puzzle box from Hellraiser is this gold intricate box, whereas in the book it's a simple black box that you wouldn't think was some ancient device or summoning thing while looking at it. So it was like 6 black faces, and the like indents and things like that on the box were invisible to the eye. But the only reason Kirsty could see it was because there was blood on the box in the book. So there is a difference between the actual summoning box, the puzzle, between the book and the movie. And also with the box, in the book, it's described to have musical elements to it. So when you're turning the box, when Frank was doing it, you could hear melodical tunes. There was some musical elements to the box, which was left out of the movie, but there was bells, and that did translate into the movie. So the whole turning off the box and doing that and hearing the music was just in the book. But once the summoning was happening, you could hear bells, and that is what moved across to the movie. And that's not the only thing that's different. I'm going to put the book down because my hands are getting a bit sore. The descriptions of the Cenobites themselves was so different. It was intriguing to read how they're supposed to look. Having seen those characters portrayed on the screen already, the lead character from Hellraiser that people have called Pinhead, he is described similarly in the book. However, it comes across like it should be a female rather than the male portraying this character, which is quite interesting. And I can see maybe why the newer series is doing the female version for Hellraiser as the lead, which was quite interesting. And then also they don't talk much in the movie, which is quite interesting. Whereas in the book, they're having full-on conversations, which I don't mind. I kind of enjoy dialogue, especially when it comes to these ancient demons and things like that. It's interesting to hear what they're talking about and things. And obviously, they're describing the box and where it comes from to Kirsty and everything like that. And it being a little bit different from the Cenobites that we know and love from Hellraiser. But yeah, it's different. And then also, I think in the movie, Larry, Frank's brother, is called Rory in the book. So that's another difference between the book and the movie. Frank is the same in the book and the movie, and he is described so disgustingly good. The visual effects in this movie, having come from the 1980s, were so ahead of its time. This movie has probably one of the creepiest and disturbing depictions of Frank. This definitely has the most disturbing, disgusting visual effects, and to make Frank the way he is and showing his flesh and bones and growing into this human and wearing skin. It was so intriguing to watch, especially as this movie was made in the 80s. But also in the book, this was written so well that Frank's descriptions like kind of give me a creepy feel, and that was amazing. Like, I loved that descriptive nature, which is probably why I love this book so much. It was definitely a decent read, and it was so visceral. I thoroughly loved how descriptive this book was. Overall, there's not much difference. The overall plot remained the same across both sources, and it's a beautiful piece of art. Both the Hellraiser movie and the Hellbound Heart themselves, they both are incredible pieces of art that are probably one of the best pieces of horror media that I've read or watched in recent times. I love them, and I cannot wait to reread this book and rewatch this movie at some point soon. But yeah, those are my thoughts and some of the similarities and differences between both of them. And for this, I'm not entirely sure which one I do prefer. It was interesting to watch a movie first before reading the book. That's kind of different for me. And it's not something that was entirely bad. I'd rather read the book to have my own thoughts on how a character should be developed from those descriptions, and then watch how somebody has created it for the screen rather than doing it the other way around. I mean, both pieces of media are incredible and so enjoyable to watch and read in their own right. So I don't think I can pick one or the other. I will rewatch Hellraiser many times over because I adore that movie, and it's become probably one of my favorite horror movies that I return to. And also now this book as well. The Hellbound Heart just has a special place for me. I really love it, and I want to read more about this author. I don't know why it's taken this long for me to pick it up, but I'm so glad that I did, and I look forward to rereading it at some point soon. But that is my thoughts and opinions on the Hellbound Heart versus Hellraiser. I love both of them equally, and this has now become one of my favorite reads in this series. So thank you so much for watching this. Let me know in the comments what other classic horror book you think I should pick up, and I will talk to you again soon. Do let me know if you've read this or you've watched Hellraiser as well, what you thought of either the book or movie in the comments. I would love to have that conversation with you. But until next time, keep your pages turning and embrace the darkness. Bye!